press record of the session. Anybody who feels like they don't want to be on the recording, please feel free to keep your camera off and offer any questions in the chat if you don't want to turn your microphone on. But I think we're open to any kind of process for asking a question, whether it's in the chat or just turning your camera on or turning your microphone on or putting your little emoji hand up. And this recording really will only be shared with people interested in finding out more about the course. It won't be widely shared, just to give you that information. So welcome and thank you for coming to the info session today, everyone. I'm going to start things off by saying who I am. My name is Marla Khalidi, for anyone who doesn't know me as an instructor here at Scarborough. And Scarborough is on the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, Seneca, and most recently the Mississauga of the Credit River. I'm also a professional practicing artist, and I've been really honored to be able to be working with the Bagdawad Alliance, working out this new D level, so that's a senior level land-based learning in the arts course. I thought that what I would do is just pass it over to Victoria and Natasha right now and let you introduce yourselves. And as Victoria said earlier, there's some things I think you missed that are incredibly fantastic. We'll just jump in and offer that about each other as we go forward. But I think students see me a lot, and the amazing part of this course is the Bagdawad Alliance's shepherding of this course forward and being our guest instructors. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. Who wants to go first?
Oh, I guess that's going to be me. So my name is Natasha Akwenzi. I'm from Lac-Seul First Nation, living at Chippewas of Nawash. I belong to Lac-Seul. My family are members of, here. A typical Monday morning here, Chippewas of Nawash, unceded First Nation. Thank you. Glad I have a band member standing beside me making homemade bread, so it's slightly distracting because that's all I can smell is yeast and bread, which is incredibly distracting because I'm very hungry right now, just to be honest. I don't know where I am. Anyway, I'm come from a fishing family. Looking forward to having you all enjoying coming up here, hiking with us, exploring our land. I'm lucky enough to have a farm that you can visit my animals. I was just telling my goat, who's named Goldie, one of my 19 goats, Goldie, this morning about she's going to have company pretty soon. And she has to fix up a pretty white coat and get her smiley face on because she's quite photogenic. And my horse was also making a lot of faces this morning, so I told her she has to behave herself and show her better side, and also to make a really nice mess in the stall so people can experience that firsthand. So yes, we're a fishing family, and so we like to work with fish. My husband's the fisherman. I used to process and smoke fish. Not smoked fish like, rolling it up and trying to light it, but just smoking fish like in a smoker. So anyway, I'll hand it over to Victoria on that note, and any questions, please. I'm kicking around.
You're awesome, Natasha. Just gotta say, we do a lot of laughing and have a lot of fun, even though we're dealing with very, very serious, very big, complex issues. We always have lots of teasing and jokes, and it's all very coming from a good place in order to keep things happy and lighthearted. So that's one thing that if you're able to come up and visit and be part of the course, that there's a lot more laughter and informality that'll be part of this course than a lot of other ones. It's going to be a very human kind of course to do, where it's more about your own personal development and understanding reconciliation more and what that really means. So I'm Victoria Serta. I live in South King Anishinaabe King, which is the Anishinaabe name for the land where we live right now, where Natasha and I are. I live about 25 minutes away from Natasha from the reserve. I'm in between the two sister bands, so I'm about the same distance from each of them. So the sister bands are the Chippewas of Nawash Unceded First Nation and the Chippewas of Saugeen First Nation. And so I have a background with doing a lot of work within the First Nations communities near me. And it was always by invitation. So I was lucky that and honored by Natasha calling me up one day in order to start, because I was obviously a climate change and environmental person, to be able to talk about getting a windsock and weather station. And 4 years later, we've done a lot of work in order to be able to try to help Mother Earth and help with everyone understanding more and really connecting with nature. So that's a lot of what we're about, is just trying to be able to have a better relationship with the world, essentially. So, but I'm a settler ally. My ethnic heritage is mainly Scottish with a little bit of Italian, which means that most people don't really know what my ethnic background is. And so sometimes people mistake me for being a community member of one of the bands, but I am not. So just being very clear. And so I come at it from all of this work from the perspective that I believe, especially as a long-term environmentalist working on climate change and global warming, which it was called in the 80s when I started working on it, that we need to raise Indigenous voices about how to be good guardians of the earth. We need to really understand more Indigenous ways of knowing and being in order to be, in a better relationship ourselves with the earth and what's going on. And I come from the perspective that Indigenous people, because they have been on the land where they are living for thousands and thousands of years, they carry that knowledge both from being passed down with stories, but also there's like blood knowledge that comes from your ancestors that I don't have. And I recognize that when I'm talking to elders and people in the communities, that their long understanding of what's going on in the land and the air and the water and is they have unique knowledge that I don't have. And I try to really respect and listen to that knowledge because their ways of being and knowing are different than how I was raised. As being a Scottish, mainly Scottish family growing up in Owen Sound in Ontario, it was, a very different type of thing. So I'm really excited though about helping with the course. I have a lot of varied background and knowledge and things that I can help people to learn if people want to be able to learn it as part of the course. And we'll do that more when people join the course and see what people are up to discussing and talking about. But I'm really excited about doing it from a creative side as well. Like I've done a painting of a dream that I had that related to my role supporting the Anishinaabe people in my area. So, I have done those types of creative processes myself in order to try to bring forward a thought or something that was really important to me. And I hope that everyone in the course has a really good experience with trying to do that themselves.
Thank you, Victoria. That was a really generous introduction. And again, your superpowers for moving us in the direction of an explanation of the course. So I'm gonna just review a couple of things and try to keep my eye on the chat, but maybe you can flag me, one of you, if you see a question appear. I'm I'm going to kind of back up a little bit and just speak to this course from the perspective of the campus, just so you get a sense of this course in relation to the courses that you normally would, that you've gotten used to taking on campus. So this is a D-level course. It's actually open to anyone. It doesn't have to be a studio art student. So anybody who has the right number of credits to get into this D-level course can take it. But it's great to know, and Victoria introduced this, that we're going to be taking a look at ideas of land-based learning and indigenous knowledges through a kind of art making lens, a creative approach. So this course is set to start in May when the summer classes start, but it's great to know that it's in the condensed time period. It's going to go start May 9th and go towards the end of June. It meets twice a week. We meet on Monday and Thursday from 2 to 5. And in this meeting twice a week through May and June, in 2 of those weeks, we take the field trip up to where the Bagdwad Alliance is, up in the Bruce Peninsula, Wyerton area. It's called Cape Croker, and the Indigenous name for that is Anishinaabe. I think I'm saying it okay. It's important to know that we're trying to deliver this course in such a way that we really, to bring an idea forward that Victoria's already mentioned, really honor your time. So when we go up to Cape Croker, we will leave during class time on Thursday, get up to where we need to get to in time to set up, have dinner, so that we then would have 2 full days with the Bagdwad Alliance, full day on Friday, full day on Saturday. Sunday morning, we'd get up, have our breakfast, strike, put everything away and head back to the city. And then the Monday, when we would normally meet after every field trip, that class we won't meet because you already met all weekend. So we won't meet again until the following Thursday. So it's really important to know that we've tried to kind of streamline the course to make sure that you're feeling like you have a good balance with all of your other commitments. We're in the process of hiring a guest instructor who's amazing at an interdisciplinary practice, a real commitment to land-based methods and Indigenous knowledges as part of their creative practice. And we hope to introduce that instructor in the next few weeks. That instructor will be delivering the course here on campus. And once a week, when you aren't up north working directly with the Bagdwad Alliance, the Bagdwad Alliance will actually zoom in and have a session with you to get to know you before you even head up. So they're really not just part of this course when you're on the field trip, they're really part of this course, and you can see their commitment just in this info session. But I sort of introduce it that way because this course has really come together as a group effort, and it's really good to know that there's an artist who's taking the lead while you're here on campus, and that the Bagdwad Alliance will take the lead when you're up north in Cape Croker, but that we all are always involved in supporting and participating. One of the things that's also really good to know about this course is it's going to take place a great deal outdoors. That's really important to have in your head. You're not going to be sitting inside, in front of a screen. There's going to be very little of that. So even on campus, we have permission to deliver the course partly on the campus farm, which is amazing. It's great to know that there is a campus farm and it's this incredible outdoor resource. There's also an Indigenous garden at the campus, and you'll get to know the Indigenous gardener as well and be able to learn a bit from Isaac. So I'm really looking forward to that. I've met him, and hilarious also, very good sense of humor, always laughing. But we'll also make use of Studio Art's specialized facilities. So don't worry about that. If it's a really terrible day outside, we're not going to make you sit out in the rain. We will come indoors and work indoors. It's going to be very rational course that way. But it's really important to know that if you sign up for the course, you really want to take seriously the amount of time that we'll spend outdoors. You know, you'll want to make sure you have a good pair of shoes to walk in. And as Victoria says, almost every time it comes up, you want to make sure that they have ankle support. And of course, you know, just sensible clothing to stay warm outdoors. There's a question in the chat. Oh, somebody had to leave, so they might email the question if they have any. So thank you for that, Joshua. That's quite a bit of preamble there, just to give a bit of a review, give you a sense of how it's structured, much like many of the Studio Art courses. Because we're still in the process of hiring the guest artist, we don't have a syllabus set at this point, but you can expect that it will be mapped appropriately to a 2-month course so that you're working in a reasonable pace, that you're able to really learn from everyone who's teaching at a good pace. The idea will most likely be a series of small exercises leading to a final project of some kind. There'll be no huge surprises there, but I think the thing that I loved that I was hearing both from Victoria and Natasha is that it's very accessible. It's very down to earth, literally. It's about land-based knowledges, land-based learning. It's about being outdoors and paying attention to that way of being in the world. And there's going to be an openness to a whole range of what it means to know and be. Maybe I'll stop there. Any questions, thoughts, concerns? Anyone, Natasha, Victoria, want to throw anything else in?
We don't bite.
No, they're hilarious.
Sometimes
Amazing.
the fish bite. And I used to wonder if they have teeth. I don't wonder so much anymore after Natasha's taught me a lot about fish, including being super excited when one of the fishermen would bring her a fish that had a ling cod in its coming out of its mouth when it came out of the net.
I think that's actually a great moment to say we're not going to be spending time on the water. We're going to be spending time next to the water. So there's no worries about water safety. And you don't need to know things. You don't have to be a knowledgeable camper, walker, any of that. This course is absolutely for somebody with no experience can join. Natasha, you turned your mic on.
Yes, that's what I was going to mention. We're not going on the water, but you'll be able to. My husband, of course, will be here. And he's a fisherman since he was a young man, preteen. So he loves talking fish. So if you ever want to talk fish, talk boats, talk nets, talk fish, he's your guy. But we will be doing a lot of land-based stuff. So a lot of walking and taking pause and listening to what you hear, what you feel, and what you smell, paying attention to those things, appreciating the calm, I guess you could call it, getting away from traffic and getting away from the hustle and bustle of the city, and just reconnecting with nature in a different way. You don't need to know the names of the plants, because trust me, I can identify a tree and I can identify poison ivy. Other than that, the knowledge of my plant knowledge is really, really, really super horrible. I come from a fishing family. Fish don't grow in trees. So that's where my knowledge stops. But my sons, I have a son who's going to be 26. And by the time we come up, my other son will be 23, have been trained in ecotourism, and they will be leading the hikes. And they know a lot more about plants and birds and than I do. So you'll be enjoying that time with them, and they will be pointing out things to you for you to explore and experience. And so, yeah, we have a whole weekend packed with a lot of activities.
I have a question for you, Natasha. Do I have to be really fit? Like, do I we're gonna hike. Like, what if I don't hike? Should I be worried about that?
Oh no, you can join us. We'll just take it at what does my son call it? Botanist pace. We'll do it at a botanist pace. We'll take lots of breaks. We'll have lots of nibbles along the way, as in our snack food. And we'll look at the birds. So you don't need to be super fit and get training for a marathon. You just need to be game to try something new, and to have your camera ready, and to have plenty of water and snacks on you, so that you can enjoy those breaks and take those breathers.
Great. Victoria, you're about to jump in.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's when we go out, there's going to be a lot of really interesting things to see. And if you haven't hiked before and you end up getting new shoes or boots, you probably want to break them in a little bit before you come, because you'll get blisters otherwise. Because it'll be, when we go out for the hikes, there'll be long hikes. And it just means that if you have it rubbing a lot in the same spot, then it might be difficult. So we can also share some tricks of the trade, like putting a Band-Aid on before you go out, to help with to reduce the possibility of getting a blister. But it is good to have the stuff broken in a little bit before you come up for the weekends.
Oh, that's a great moment for me to jump in with that. You two were fabulous. There's not quite 2 weeks before the first field trip, when the course begins, and that's when our guest instructor, and I'll also be present to do some assisting. You'll have an opportunity to practice. We'll do a bit of walking in and around campus. We'll make sure that you understand what you need to have, how to pack, how to put up a tent. Like we'll have a bit of practice under our belt before we head north. So you don't have to worry about getting up to Cape Croker and feeling like you might not be ready. You will all go completely ready. We'll make sure. So no worries there.
And we'll help with that.
Yes. What
Yes.
about, sorry, I missed a bit of the beginning, but is the transportation provided for the weekend trips? Yes. Excellent question, Destiny. I actually am going to be moving forward with that in the next couple of days, but the plan right now is to rent a passenger van that fits everybody, quite a large passenger van, and we would all drive up together. So you do not need to get yourself there. It's fantastic.
Or back.
Or back. Yes, no,
exactly. Don't get just dropped off and then you make your own way hitchhiking or anything. Yeah, it's okay. Both ways.
Exactly. We depart from the campus and we return to the campus. Oh, I want some more questions. I love questions. There's going to be
Feel-
some, oh, go ahead. Tori.
I was just going to say, feel free to unmute too and just ask something if you want.
Yes, yeah, we're
quite
open-
chatty, so
We're open to free-for-alls.
yeah.
I was about to jump in and say there's going to be some campfire activities. I mean, maybe that's sort of super common and maybe a nice familiar reference point, but some of the stories that you've told, Natasha, about cooking outdoors and getting to eat s'mores late at night next to that all sounds pretty fantastic. I don't know if you want to say anything more about that.
So my husband used to be a fireman, so he'll be making the fires for us, which is great, because he makes a really beautiful fire. And we'll be giving you the experience of how to make s'mores. And yes, and my husband says we'll be also bringing you out for stargazing if you're game, because we have a little bit of light pollution, but we don't have as much as the city, so that we do actually see the Milky Way and planets and satellites, and hopefully maybe the moon will be out at that time.
Aliens.
So we will be doing like there will be some night activities. Possibly maybe we can invite an elder around to sit around the campfire with us and enjoy our experimenting with s'mores, or trying to make popcorn over a campfire, which is always exciting. And yes, we usually have to get a few of those to be made. But yes, there will be a lot of, I know one of the fun activities we do in the evening is like, yes, stargazing, and then also cooking over the fire. Learning how to do a baked potato in the coals, which sounds easy. But it's a little challenging at times, or even just doing a fried egg up on a cast iron pan. If you've never cooked with cast iron, it's always a little bit more interesting. Or to even make toast on a campfire. Again, my husband's like looking forward to espresso over the campfire. Of course you can't do
I might jump in just for a moment, Natasha, just in this context to say that if you sign up for the course, of course, we'll be interested to hear what kind of camping gear that you already own that you might want to bring. But the course is building up equipment, which means that we'll have tents, even sleeping bags and sleeping mats available for students to use. So you don't have to worry that you don't have that kind of gear. You're really just looking after your own clothing, your own knapsack, and that's it. The food is going to be there. The tents will be there, sleeping bag, mats. Of course, you're welcome to bring what's familiar to you if you want to, but you don't have to. And if you're worried, you're like, oh, what if it rains and it's terrible out there? We have a backup. If the weather is just too awful, there's a church hall that we've booked, so we can all sleep indoors if we need to, and we can figure out how to do that in a way that's appropriate to everyone's needs. So I just wanted to throw that kind of reassurance in around Natasha's great presentation of the camping and sleeping part. I've filled in now, Natasha, back to you.
Fair enough. Yeah, so yeah, we have backup plans, like even with the hikes, if the weather is too miserable to be like in a very wooded lot, we have outdoors. If there's thunderstorms, we'll be just hunkering down inside and doing inside activities. So there's a lot of planning that has gone into this, and we want you to have fun, and we want this to be memorable. And that you've learned some new skills, you've experienced the environment in a different way, that you've reconnected with it. I would love if you got excited over a salamander. Like, that would be super cool. If we were able to give a salamander a little noogie, that would be like one of the coolest things that we could do. So this is the stuff that I would get excited over. And I hope that you would be able to share that excitement with us. Springtime is a wonderful time of year because you can still see through the bush quite far, because the leaves are still pretty small. And so you're able to get a lot further of a vision through the trees. If you go in the later summer, you can't see so far into the bush. And it's a magical time of the year. It smells different. The frogs are really super active to the point that they're sometimes a little bit annoying. We have a pond out back of our place, and they can, yes, at times they can get a little obnoxious, but they're just doing the springtime thing. We kind of want to encourage them, but kind of wish they would keep it down. So we have, a lot of things to experience in the spring. The birds will be busy. Right now we have a cardinal that's playing with my son's rear view mirror on his vehicle. He thinks that there's another male cardinal looking at the gals. So he's not overly impressed. So he's attacking the rear view mirror. So those odd behavior, crazy things that happen up here, which is normal to us, but hopefully you can experience them when you're up here.
I had a couple of things I'd like to add to that I wanted to mention. I know sometimes people have different dietary preferences or needs, which we will be able to accommodate. Natasha's vegetarian and I'm vegan, so we're quite familiar with those types of diets. But we've also, both of us have a reasonable amount of experience with things that are, say, gluten-free, or, if there are other things that you have allergies to, we can figure them out and be able to, accommodate those, whatever it needs to be. We're not going to be able to do much if you're allergic to things that are outside or hay, because there's a lot of hay in Natasha's barn that you will probably get exposed to. But most kinds of allergies and things like that, we can figure something out around. And I've forgotten what the other thing was that I was trying to remember to mention. So hopefully it'll come back to me in a minute.
I think I'll pick up on that in terms of another layer of reassurance that, if you want to take this course, but you're worried about having to buy a pair of walking shoes or a rain jacket or, the grading. Okay, hold on. I'll provide a segue to that. So if you're concerned about some of the gear that you might have to buy in order to participate in this, don't let that be a barrier. Just reach out to me. I've had a conversation with our program manager, Manal, and there's sources of funding that we can help direct you to and help you get in order to make sure that that's not a barrier to taking the course. We really want you to just, understand the usual course fee, and that's it. There will not be many additional expenses associated with the course. Although what I do want to say is, we're talking a lot about the camping and the walking part and being out in nature and eating s'mores, all very important. It is a course. There will be assignments. There'll be very accessible assignments, and it's going to be through an art making lens. So we will be talking about art making. We will be teaching art making, and you might have to, as is normal for most studio art courses, you may have to find yourself purchasing some very specific things to make your art. Hard to know what that is at this point. But again, I think it would be it's always kept in a fairly reasonable zone based on what you're able to do. So you want to keep that in. I wanted to reassure you and keep that in mind, that it is a course that where assignments might be graded. How is that for a segue?
Great job. Great job, Marla. Like, I love the group flow of this, right? One of the things I think that's a bit unique is that, you know, we have a whole team that are designing things together, and we process things together, and we've been regularly working on this for months and months. So I think that that way of going about it has been really good. Everybody's coming to it with a good heart and in a good way, and we hope to continue that through the whole course, the course of the course. I was going to say that I think all of us are not huge fans of academic grading systems. And we have to do them because it is a course that you're going to get a credit for. But we wanted to also assure everyone that a large part of it is going to be about passion and engagement for this course. So when you're participating and being part of the group and really trying to be present and learn, and in the end, if you're doing assignments or the last the bigger final project, a lot of it will be about how much you're showing that it meant something to you to do the course, right? So it's really more about being a human being and being in relationship with other people and being in an open space for learning. And you know, if you do that, then of course you'll pass, and you'll probably get a really good mark because that's really what we're hoping, that everyone is just able to have a deeper relationship with each other and with the land and the water in the air by the end of this, and using a creative process in order to help to process that connection and also show other people that connection is important.
That was great, Victoria. Thank you. I'm not seeing any other questions. We're coming up to 10:02. Any questions, even Claudia or Sydney, as you've been listening, being sort of leaders in the department as staff people, if there's any questions you can think of that students might have. I'll just maybe sing a song. It's like the elevator music in between. No, I'm kidding.
There's a question in the chat.
Oh, there is. I don't have any questions.
Are the 9 required credits only from ACM courses or any 9 credits?
Oh, that's a very good question. Darn. Let me ask Banal that question. Let's find another question while I get that answer.
I'm curious if anyone that is watching, that's been listening, wants to come up and meet us. Because I'm really looking forward to meeting more people.
I'm fairly certain. Yeah, I'm fairly certain. I'm fairly certain it's ACM courses. Oh, Claudia is telling us that we did really well. I always like getting told I did something really well. Oh, thanks, Claudia. Oh, I'm getting a response from Manal. She was being on call to answer any questions I threw into her message window. She is saying just within ACM, but we can be flexible if need be. So that's maybe the game here, is we are really setting up an opportunity that I think, especially having heard from Natasha and Victoria, I hope that you can hear that it is a different opportunity for learning that isn't doesn't have the same academic imperatives. I think the imperatives are still high. What we're asking for is really about being human and willing and wanting to be fully present, to learn to learn what it might mean to be present differently, to learn what it might mean to learn differently. Like that's our imperative here. It won't be so unfamiliar that you feel like you've parachuted into another place. You'll recognize that the guidelines of the university are still there, but it's really much more about literally getting out of the classroom, outside, and being in the land, learning from the land, and being creative within those new opportunities. And you really will be able to draw on all of the things you know already, your interests. We're not asking you to reinvent yourself. We're not asking you to suddenly become an activist. Hopefully you'll become more active and activated, but you will be able to bring your sensibilities and your interests to the course and allow them to be hopefully deepened, reshaped. Oh, I see another question. Is the application form online somewhere now? Yes. In all of the info, maybe Claudia or Sydney, maybe can you put the link in the chat for anyone? Oh, it's already there. You go to the link and you can download. When you click on the application form, it downloads and you can fill it in and then submit it. I don't know if there's any questions about the application form. We're getting close to the end of our session, but I think yes, go ahead.
I was going to say that I know, like, I have a performance anxiety disorder, and my daughter has an anxiety disorder as well. And sometimes, like, it's you probably won't ever be able to tell that I have an anxiety disorder. Just saying. It's partially because I do so much public speaking and stuff that I've learned how to manage it most of the time quite well. But I know that I always had a really hard time with grading and knowing what people's expectations were and knowing how to meet them so that I could feel comfortable doing something. And for this, with the application form, it's mainly so that we get to know you a little bit before you join the course. And if there are more applicants than spaces, we would choose the people. I think that everybody was in agreement that we would choose people that seemed like they really cared about coming. Do you know what I mean? That it was about that how much you want to engage and how much you want to be able to learn and just be present and understand reconciliation more, and being able to eat from the land, and the practice of walking and how that relates to, creativity. Though all of those types of ideas are the things that we're looking for in the application. So it's not a normal academic kind of application either, because it's around just being open to having a good experience and learning some things and being outside. So we tried to design this so that people that are like kinesthetic learners, that you learn by using your body and moving, that this will be a good kind of course for that type of learner. It's not, I don't think it's going to be as much for the mathematical, logical types of people. Not that they won't be able to do it, but I mean, it's not going to be linear. It's not like we're going to have a plan for the day where every 15 minutes we've got something scheduled. It's going to be very flexible and have a flow. And it's going to be a bit about letting go of some of those schedules and strict times and just being more present and learning from where you are. So I kind of wanted to mention a bit of the different ways that people kind of are, and it's good to know that, like, a little bit of flexibility. with how you go about your day is going to be pretty important for feeling comfortable and being part of this. But it's not like any of it's judged or you're being marked on those things, or, you know, like there's we're very gentle and kind, and just want to be able to support people doing things. The only time that there'll be some firmness is, you know, around participating in things because like if we're all cleaning at the barn, then we're all going to be cleaning at the barn.
And I might jump in here. I love that. I'm going to jump in to say for any of you listening to this that there is a syllabus, there will be a syllabus with clear guidelines. It won't be like you won't understand what your responsibility is and what you need to do in order to excel. I mean, I think what Natasha and Victoria have been describing to you is really gets to the depth and the spirit of the course. There'll also be really practical stuff like, did you do this? If you didn't do it, that's not good. You should do that. Then you get your, like, there'll be that kind of practical side as well. And it won't be confused. It won't be, you won't be left feeling unsure about how the course is graded. That will be really clear. For those of you that feel how do I want to put it? Like sometimes having clear guidelines can make you feel more comfortable. There will be clear guidelines to make sure you feel comfortable in this as a course, but back to Victoria's comment and Natasha's descriptions that it is a different kind of course, and that this is the point. This is not your normal course. So that's what's going to make this so amazing.
And if you know of other people that after hearing this conversation, like that might be interested, please let them know, because like sometimes the way that we involve ourselves in something is like by talking, and someone else that we know can go, and that helps everybody to feel more comfortable, especially when you're traveling and going to a place where there are people you don't know, and you're you know, not exactly like, there's not really strict timelines and things like you might be used to, but it's still going to be all like, you know, what's going to be happening. It's just that it's going to be a bit more of a free flow with the time than you would have if you're attending your university classes or something like that, right? And you know, both Natasha and I have a child that's in university or planning to go back to university at this point, so we're pretty familiar with how it usually works in the academic world, and we just want to help everybody to feel comfortable and engaged and really get as much out of the experience as possible. And there are formal things that have to be done, like your assignments, and those will be all very clear and lined out. But when you're up on the res, then the res rules. Rule.
The res will roll. I think that's an amazing place to end. The res will roll. I do not see any last questions. Natasha, do you want to add anything?
Not really, other than I wish I was young again and had opportunities like this, you know, how it would have been really different at that time. But I am really glad to hopefully inspire the next generation, to be able to inspire the next generation in doing what we do. And the earth needs us to do this. So big gratitude for everybody for showing up. I really appreciate your time, and I really look forward to you guys coming up. I think it's going to be a blast. I think the mosquitoes and black flies will love us to pieces. And I'll make sure that my goats are on the best behavior and ready to pose at any given time.
Shirley is going to be so excited to meet all of you. There's just Girly is just the best, and you'll you'll want to take her home, but Natasha won't let you because she has her family there that she needs to be around because they're herd animals. Kind of like us. We need each other.
We need each other. And on that note, I think I'm going to press stop recording